what we recommend goes into constructing of the basic stories or elements. You touched upon the sources that are your own stories, other stories, and so on. But as briefly as, or I don't know if this is possible, but you can say that, there are three,
It is.
key elements, and think about these 2 or 3 elements, and high level what goes into them, so that people get a frame or a kind of a skeleton.
So let me first give you a few non-negotiables.
Sure.
And then a few nice to have.
Okay.
Right. So what are non-negotiables without which you can't have a story? First is you can't have a story without a time marker and a place marker. Yeah. Just to give you an understanding. Yeah. A time and a place.
Sure.
I can't tell you a story without a time and a place. So what are the most quintessential time and place marker in English story is once upon a time in a land far, far away. Right. In real life in business, it could be 5 years ago when I was a brand manager in X. I've given you time and location, right? Now, time doesn't necessarily have to be a date. It could be, like I said, when I was in school, that's time. 5 years ago is time. 2019 is time. So it could be any time.
Right.
Location could be, in my school. It could be in Noida. Anything, some location marker.
Yeah.
So you can't have a story without a time and a location marker.
Got it.
2 is you can't have story without characters. You need some character. Yeah. So I keep hearing things like, we have a product story. A product has A feature, B feature, C feature, and next year we'll be on the cloud. That's not a story. Right? So it needs to have characters. 3rd, and very, very importantly, it needs to have a related sequence of events. Not just sequence of events, or not just events, but a related sequence of events. So there are companies, if you go to their website now, because everyone thinks story is a great thing, which is good for me. I mean, 10 years ago, I used to be thrown out of doors by saying, there is no place for our leaders in storytelling.
What abstract concept are you talking about?
Number of places I've knocked on doors in 2013, 14 saying, we should teach your leaders storytelling. No. We are in a serious business. Now everyone is into storytelling. So they have changed our About Us page to Our Story. Open it. We were founded in X year. In Y year, we started our first plant. In Z year, we did a German, joint venture. In whatever year, we started a cloud business. That is not a story. Those are just events that have happened.
Okay.
So in a story, it has to be a related sequence of events, a causal sequence of events. A happened, then because of A, B happened, and because of A and B, C happened. Right?
It's leading to the next phase of a journey.
Absolutely. It has to be a related causal sequence of events. Right?
Yeah.
Finally, it needs to have some element of surprise. Yeah. Story is never normal. Story is always normal twist. Yeah. Now, when I say element of surprise, doesn't have to mean, oh my God, I fell off my chair kind of surprise. It is about, oh, is that how it finished? Yeah. It should be somewhere which is not the normal. So if I told you, for example, that, I got up this morning and I opened my laptop, and in my calendar, I saw that I have to have a chat with Nikhil today. And so I came, made sure that lighting was on, and I sat down and I joined. Now, it has time, it has space, it has character, it has sequence of events, but it's not a story because, technically it is, but it's so boring. No one will listen to it, right? But if I then said, and I opened Zoom and I waited, Nikhil wasn't there. And then I get a call from him saying, hey, I'm waiting on Teams. Where are you? And then I thought it was supposed to be on Zoom. Now that's a story.
Yeah.
Why? Because there was a twist to that story. So these are to me the non-negotiables for a story: time, place, related sequence of events, character, and a surprise. For a business story, the next non-negotiable is that your story should be able to deliver a message. Yeah. Just saying that I waited on Zoom and he was on Teams is a story, but what is the business message I'm trying to pass? Then it becomes a business story. Yeah. So those are the non-negotiables. What are the nice to have? Because what this is a story. For a good story, I should be able to tell you a few things which will allow you as an audience to visualize. Yeah. To see that happening. And again, remember, I am in a business context. I'm not going to be going on and on. I'll just say 1 or 2 things that'll make you visualize, and I'll explain that to you with an example. And finally, a great story is when you can make me feel the story. Yeah. So being able to see the story and feel the story is the, if you like, the additional nice to have. The others is the must have, right? So let's say I tell you a short real story. So, I really believe, Nikhil, that little things make a big difference. Yeah. So back during the Second Iraq War in Iraq, the American generals were placed in many of the cities, and there was one American general who was placed in a city called Tikrit, and one of the big issues was riots. Yeah. And one day, when the general was on the first floor balcony of his office, which overlooked the plaza, he looked down and he saw a lot of people gathering. And he remembered that every time people have gathered, yeah, there more and more people have come. There's been sloganeering, etc., some stone throwing, and finally landed up in a riot. So an idea came to his head. So he rushed back into his room, picked up the phone and called the mayor of the town and said, "Mayor, if I ever ask you to remove the food carts from the plaza, will you do that?" The mayor said, "Food carts? Why on earth?" He said, "Just, can you go with me?" He said, "Okay." The next time he saw a buildup of people in the plaza, he called the mayor and said, "Mayor, remove the food carts." The mayor removed the food carts, and sure enough, buildup never happened, because those guys who came in the morning at some point in time were hungry, no food, they dispersed, right? So with that little thing, which is removing the food carts, he brought down the riots in that town by close to 30%. And that's why I believe that little things make a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now let's break this up. My story had time, Iraq War, place, Tikrit, sequence of events. He observes this, that. But if I ask you, Nikhil, where was the American general when the idea struck him?
Right.
Yeah. You'd say he was standing in his balcony overlooking the plaza, right? Why? By using that one line, I helped you visualize that very well. Yeah. So those are, to me, those two, which is visual and feeling, are what makes it good and great. But the non-negotiables are what I said in the first, which is time, place, sequence of events, character, and a surprise.